Hello, my friends, and welcome back to my channel. So if you can't tell from the filming location and the fact that for once in my life I'm holding the mic, we are doing something a little bit different today. So I have done one of these prior. However, there were some technical difficulties at the time. It was like early on, like when I started my channel, and for some reason the video came out and had no audio. So we had to film twice, but that being said, we are doing a bookshelf scavenger hunt. So if you are unfamiliar with the premise of this kind of video, you follow a series, or I follow a series of prompts / questions that lead me from one book to another. And then we read the final book that I land on. So I am super excited about this. I really enjoy watching these. I know Ellen Catherine makes them. She got the idea from Riley Marie. I've seen other YouTubers do it. So I thoroughly enjoy watching these. And so I'm excited to film another one. So with that being said, the first prompt is to find a book with a cover you love. And I am stood in front of my fantasy shelves because I feel like that's just an easier place to start. But just so you are aware, if you guys don't know, these are my fantasy shelves. I have kind of like a couple floating shelves over there with like historical fiction. And then like across the way is my romance shelf. So if I'm like in and out of frame, it's because I am in fact looking at the romance shelves. So a book with a cover that you love. I feel like when you're in front of fantasy shelves, that is easier. We could do, I really like the cover, the Fairy Loot cover for Crimson Moth, but I feel like that's cheating a little bit because it's a special edition. So maybe, see, the thing is you also have to like pick a book where you know, like you read it and you know the tropes, because the next prompt involves tropes. I feel like this is an obvious answer. Obviously, I love this cover if I'm displaying it. So we are going to go with Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. I feel like this is one of her lesser known novels, especially compared to the Six Crimson Cranes duology. But this was my introduction to her as an author, and I loved these books. And I also think that this cover is gorgeous. So this book is, think Mulan meets Project Runway sort of situation. Our FMC decides to enter a tailoring contest at the Royal Palace, and tailors in this world are only men. So she's disguised as a boy, and she kind of ends up embroiled in like political and magical intrigue. So some tropes of this are, I guess, obviously hidden identity, kind of like not a quest, like games, so to speak. I don't know. Those are kind of the two big ones, is hidden identity, because she's kind of hiding herself as a boy in plain sight, and then also they're participating in a contest. So that is book one. The next prompt is to find a book with similar tropes. So I don't know if I have another like Mulan inspired tale where like they're being, I feel silly saying that because I'm like looking at my shelves like, is there another book where someone like pretends that they're a boy? I don't know if I do have one. I might have like not started myself off on the strongest foot. I guess we could just go with like another hidden identity sort of situation. Or maybe like just a book with a similar vibe. Hopefully you guys aren't looking at the screen being like, I see a book that has, what you're looking for. Why can't you process that? Oh, wait, this is dumb. Okay. Silly me, right here. This is Alana, The First Adventure, which is the first book in I'm going to put this down, which is the first book in the Lioness Quartet, or the Song of the Lioness. She ends up disguising herself as a boy to like become a knight. So I feel like book with similar tropes, here we are. But if you have ever read Tamora Pierce, or if you have considered reading Tamora Pierce, I realize that it's technically considered middle grade, but I don't care. This will hold water for as long as I'm alive. So we've got another woman who disguises herself as a man, which I feel is similar enough. Next is to reverse the page count and find a book with that number of pages. So hopefully this does not end on like a 1 or a 2 because that would be so unfortunate. Okay, I think, honestly, it's 180 pages long. You know what? To save me from myself here, I do have a second copy of, where's my Tamar Pierce shelf? Okay, here it is. I have a second copy. I'm going to dump the whole thing over in an effort to like get at the one I want. But I don't think we can do a book with 81 pages. So let's see if this one does not do me dirty the way that one did. You can tell that this is a very well-loved copy on my part. She's, you know, she's sad, but she's adored. Yeah, this is the first book. Okay, 216. So we're going to go with this copy of Alana because I feel like that does better. So I need I'm like a goldfish. 216, 612. So we need a book with 612 pages. Oh, Lordy. Okay. Well, let's start with Big Mama right here. This is Mother of Death and Dawn. 709. Honestly, I'm doing better than I did last time. Maybe it's because I opened enough of these books. I have a general idea at this point. Ooh, this is 624. I'm going to like look at a couple more, but Children of Fallen Gods is a very close contender for 612. I feel like this is going to be in the 500 range. Yes. Kind of ends up in like the 560-ish. I want to get like as close as possible, you know? That has too many pages. Ooh, Throne of the Fallen's a good one. $561. Nope. Maybe The Courting of Bristol Keats. I feel like I looked at this one last time and it was also like 500 pages. It's pretty chunky for a fairy loot book though. Yeah. Jade Ward, maybe? No. Okay. On that note, because I don't want to be doing this forever, and we're trying to be more efficient than I was last time. Do you know how much I cut out of the last video? A ridiculous amount. We're going to go with Children of Fallen Gods, which is book 2 in the War of Lost Hearts trilogy. And like I said, this is 624 pages. So we're only 12 pages off. I will take it. So the next prompt is to find a book with a similar cover. Ooh. I mean, the easy answer, I feel like, would be to just do Mother of Death and Dawn. I'll keep that in the back of my mind. I will keep that in the back. Maybe. Actually, I feel like this is a really good choice, and it's not cheating because it's not the second book. So we're gonna go with A Curse Carved in Bone because I feel like it's kind of the red, the woman with the blonde woman with the sword, the whole 9 yards. So let me put this back. I'm trying not to like trash my shelves. I will wait to put these back, but I can put this one back now. I like don't want to end up with a giant pile of books at the end of this that I have to like put back. So we have A Curse Carved in Bone, which is the second book in the Saga of the Unfated by Danielle L. Jensen. I did read this in a vlog, so if you have any interest on like more in-depth thoughts and feelings on it, I'll link it right up wherever. But I enjoyed this duology. It was not my favorite. I think it's like a solidly like 3.5 star duology, but you know, it's good. It follows Freya, who gets herself kind of embroiled in the politics of her time because she has a very unique gift from her goddess mother. So from here, I need to read the dedication and pick any word or any name, like any word. Okay, hold on. Let me back up. I'm like making this complicated. From here, I need to read the dedication and I need to find a book with one of the words in the dedication in the title, or if she names people, I have to find a book that has an author with that name. So hopefully Miss Danielle Does not do me dirty here. Oh gosh. Okay. For the ladies of Nafa. Nofa? Noffa? I'm assuming it's some sort of association. Okay, I guess maybe lady or ladies would be the best option for me. Because I feel like for and the is like cheating. I feel like the immediate thought that comes to mind is Lady Night by Tamora Pierce. So this might end up being like a Tamora Pierce episode, which was not my intention. But I feel like there's not a lot of book titles with lady in it. So I'm going to put this down. And we're going to take a quick perusal, but I feel like... Oh, wait. Wow, Emily. Wow. If you guys can't see this, I don't know if this is in frame. I literally have Lady of Darkness, like the whole series right here. So we're just going to pull the first book because I don't want to exhaust you guys with my love for Tamora Pierce. So this is Lady of Darkness by Melissa K. Rorick, and this is one of my Roman Empire series. I love it. It follows a woman who is an assassin who gets out of the business, or at least attempts to get out of the business, and is kind of brought back in by her handler, promising her that if she does one last job, he will give her the tools to seek vengeance for her loved one's deaths. So I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and we will be using this for this prompt. So next is to find a book that was published in the same year. So I think this is somewhere in the 2020s, I would assume. I'm sorry, this is like so awkward. I've never held the mic and tried to do a video before, so hopefully the audio isn't trash. Okay, 2021. That's good. Okay, I think I can definitely find a book that was published in 2021. Ooh. I'm doing a booty bump to get it back on the shelf. Okay. Book that was published in 2021. No, I'm not sure about those. Maybe the first book would have been A Natural History of Dragons. Honestly, as much as I love this series, I don't know a lot about the history of when it was published. Copyright 2013. Okay. I realized it had been out for that long. By the way, if you haven't read these, you totally 110% should. I will say, if you're not an Emily Wilde fan, you might not like this. It has, in my opinion, higher stakes than Emily Wilde, but the FMC, Lady Trent, is very similar, I think, to Emily in the fact that she's very academically driven, and that sometimes makes her miss social cues. So if you did not like Emily as a protagonist, I don't think you would like her, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. So if that's your cup of tea, you should definitely try it. All right. Where were we? I've gotten sidetracked. What am I doing? Finding a book published in 2021. Oof. Maybe a Chloe Gong book. It's funny. I have all of these books from her, and I've not read a single one. 2023. Maybe Our Violent Delights. I don't know if it was published before or after Immortal Longings. I feel like after, but I could be off my rocker. Where is the page? Where's the page with all the information? 2020. Okay, so did the sequel come out in 2021? That would be great. That would solve this for me. Ooh, this book is crispy new and the spine creaks a little bit when you open it. I'm telling you, I own all these books. I haven't read any of them. 2021. Perfect. Here we are. A book that was published in 2021. And the next prompt is to count the number of letters in the title and find a book with the same number of letters in the title. I don't know if I'm going to be able to dig up the old footage, but if I can, I'm going to insert a clip here of the difficulties I went through last time with this part of the prompt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Ugh! Keep getting 14. We need 15. So, circling back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Just double checking. All right, so we need to do 14. This is like where the wheels came off the bus last time. So hopefully I can do better this time and it doesn't take me 5 years. All right, let me... Oh, way too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yes! I feel like I sniped that. Okay. So the Crimson Moth does in fact have 14 letters in the title. Let me... Yes! Okay. For the drama that I went through last time, for like, I think it was like 16 letters or something like that, I'm so happy right now. But this is The Crimson Moth by Kristen Ciccarelli, I think it's pronounced. I'm sure you guys have heard of it if you're chronically online on Book Talk, on BookTube. It was very, very popular last year, but it follows a witch and witch hunter and kind of a cat and mouse game in kind of a not like quite Victorian society, but like a society where there are like nobles and balls and like that sort of thing. Which, circling back, the next prompt is to pick a book that I would recommend to others if they liked this book. So if you liked The Crimson Moth, I would say, based on what's on my shelves, you know, honestly, the plots are not similar, but I feel like the vibes are similar. So I'm going to go with The Rose Bargain. I feel like if you liked The Crimson Moth, you will, in fact, like The Rose Bargain. This book follows a young girl who lives in a world where it's also, you know, nobles, society, balls, all of that good stuff. And in this world, the Queen of England is actually fae. And when girls come of age, they can ask for a wish or like a quality to be granted to them by the Queen. And originally, her older sister kind of screws it up, and her family is now like notorious because of like her sister's wish or lack thereof. And she decides to enter the contest for the crown prince's hand in an effort to like get her family back in society's good standing. So, like I said, the plot's not similar, but I feel like the vibes are very close. So we're going to go with The Rose Bargain for that prompt. And then the next prompt is to find a book with a title that starts with the last letter of the previous book's title. So here's the thing. This next one will determine what I am reading for this vlog. So this obviously ends in N. So I need to find a book title that starts with N. So we shall see how this goes. I'm going to put both of these back. Oh! I totally did not just drop that on the floor. All right, my boo-boo has been fixed. So I need to find a book that starts with the letter N that I have not read yet. So I don't think this counts. Nope, Songs of Legends Lost. I'm literally just going to go down the line. I don't know if I will actually have any good luck with this. I might have to go over to the romance shelves, which would not be in the end of the world. I never realized how many book titles start with T. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but still. If there's like the or a, do I skip it? Like, do I like say that doesn't count, or can I like... Okay, we'll bend the rules if it comes down to bending the rules, but so far, I don't think it's fair to say that it's time to bend the rules. I think The Nature of Witches is closest we've gotten so far. It starts with the, and I feel like that's cheating, so we're not doing that. Is it just me or has it gotten darker in here? Ugh. I love the weather, man. For she is wrath. What is this one? The Prince Without Sorrow. Okay, I did not anticipate this being this difficult. Also, I realize I'm like probably completely out of frame and you guys can't see me anymore, and I'm just a disembodied voice talking to you. Okay. On that note, we're going over the way to the romance shelves. I'm just going to cut all of my muttering out and you will see me when I have the book I'm reading. All right. I am actually kind of proud of myself because I did find a title that starts with the letter N, which I did not think was going to happen, especially after like scanning all of my books. But Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. Obviously, it starts with the letter N. All that I know about this is that she's a musician, he's a musician, they're both musicians, something like that. And it is a romance, and it's blurred by Ellie Hazelwood, so I have hopes for this book. So, with that being said, we are going to be reading this book in this video. So, I will see you when I have something to say. It is time for my little over halfway check-in on this book. And I have to say I'm enjoying it, but I'm not like immersed in this book. So really quickly, Gwen is our FMC. She is a violin player. She has like no serious formal training, I would say. She never like did orchestra in high school. She never went to college for music. She just kind of picked up the violin one day, and when the like music store owner saw that she had talent, Mabel decided to tutor her. So at the beginning of this book, Gwen meets Xavier at a wedding, and then the two of them kind of already play in the same circles. She auditioned and was hired for the New York Pops, which is like a orchestra that plays popular music. And he has also been working in the Pops with the goal of getting first chair. And so they've sat across from each other for like over a year, and he kind of still has no idea who she is. And she ends up catching his attention at this wedding because she is a violin player. However, the wedding thought that they hired a cello, and she decides to wing it. And she is pretty successful winging it, playing the cello at this wedding. And her playing kind of catches his attention. And then he kind of ends up like in her orbit. And the two of them are kind of having like a love to hate sort of situation, or hate to love sort of situation. He's not great with his words. And so like he gives her uninvited feedback. And some of it's not all positive, and she takes personal affront to it. She takes personal affront to the fact that he, is like, who are you? And she's like, we've been in the same room on a weekly basis for a year. Seriously, dude? So the two of them, however, are kind of like drawn to each other's playing. She's been a fan of his band, Thorn and Roses. Sorry. So back up. He is also a like prodigy in music, and he kind of at one point took a left into more popular music, and he is kind of the lead of a band called Thorn and Roses, and she's been a huge fan, like had his posters up on her wall kind of fan for quite some time, though she's become a little bit more disillusioned with him as a person than she was previously after he joined the Pops. So she's kind of always fangirled, but he's kind of proving to be a bit of a dick. And so, the two of them are kind of doing this, like, I like your music, but I don't like you, but I'm really drawn to like what you're doing, and I want to emulate, part of your playing and like all of this stuff. So I'm enjoying it. I have not loved the like two spice scenes we've gotten so far, and I think I said that about the last one of the last books I read for a vlog. So I don't know if it's just like I'm now like my tastes are changing, or if that's just kind of part of where we're at in our reading right now. But other than that, I'm thoroughly enjoying these two together. I think that they play really well off each other, no pun intended. I will say I'm like there are lots of places that tension could come from in this book. Obviously Mabel, who is kind of her tutor slash quasi mother figure, because Gwen has kind of lost all of her family members at this point in life, doesn't really approve of her playing for the Pops. Xander obviously has like a dual commitment to the Pops and his band. The director of the band has kind of been pressing both her and Xavier for more commitment and more interaction between the two of them than they're currently willing to give, because he's seeing it as a moneymaker. He's not really seeing them as people. So there's just lots of places tension could come from, and I'm very excited to see where this is going. I hope our third act conflict, like I've said in previous vlogs about other books, does not come from a miscommunication between these two. I hate the miscommunication trope, but other than that, I think this is probably like a solidly 4-star read at the moment. But I have this on audiobook from Libby. So I am actually going to plug in and make some cookies for my coworkers. And when I am done listening to the audiobook and done with my cookies, I will check back in with you. Officially finished Not Another Love Song by Miss Julie Soto, and I have to say I very much enjoyed this book. I think that I will be looking to read more from her in the future for sure, but what I said in the halfway check-in I think still kind of stands about, like, as far as it being a 4-star read. Kind of more of my thoughts about these two. I very much enjoyed the dynamic between Gwen and Xander. I kind of enjoyed some of the reveals we got, which I wasn't kind of expecting that we would get bigger kind of reveals in a romance, like a contemporary romance. But I greatly appreciated kind of some of the little twists and turns that everything took. I'm not like a huge like orchestra, like music buff. I mean, I love me some music, but like I'm not obsessive. So I would say even if that's not something that you particularly enjoy the nitty gritty of, I still thoroughly enjoyed this book. So I don't think that you necessarily need to be like, very music centric for this to like land with you. So a couple like things that I didn't love, like I said before, I didn't love the spice scenes. I also didn't love sometimes how the two of them like didn't really give each other I don't know how to, like, not necessarily give each other the benefit of the doubt. But there was more than once where you're getting like what's going on inside the character's head, but then their behavior is kind of like doesn't line up almost. And I get that they're kind of like part of that is they're trying to like battle how they feel about each other and all of that mess. But still, there was just some moments where I'm like, okay, you're saying one thing and you're acting another. I also there is a scene where the two of them end up in a dressing room at the like halfway break in the orchestra performance, getting a little handsy, and I'm like, it seemed a little out of character for Gwen because she's always been like very professional and very focused and like taken her violin career very seriously. It was not off brand for Xander whatsoever, but I was like, this feels like a little bit out of place for Gwen as a person. So I wasn't like 100% sold on the physical chemistry between these two. I like very much enjoyed it. It was a very quick read for me, but there were just a couple things that were not quite my speed, which is why it is a 4-star read. But that brings us to the end of this bookshelf scavenger hunt. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you would like to stick around, please subscribe. Either way, I appreciate you joining me today. Bye!